This is a quick story. It's only 30 seconds, but it's a really interesting talk topic. There was some Official Information Act work done today around Adrian Orr, the Reserve Bank governor, who bailed with 3 years left on a contract. I think it's pretty fair to say this government weren't that stoked with him. It feels like he was a bit of a hangover, and I don't know if they were big fans of his work. But if you haven't heard yet, let's not spoil it for you. Why did Adrian Orr chuck in probably what is a lucrative job and comfortable job when he still had 3 years to go on his contract?
It's been revealed the reason Adrian Orr abruptly quit as Reserve Bank governor in March was because of a disagreement about funding. Internal documents released under the official...
You'd never think anyone would have had a disagreement with this government on funding. I'm so surprised.
Information Act have confirmed Orr didn't agree with the government's moves to cut costs. The bank saying in a statement he, quote, could not continue in that role with significantly less funding than he thought was viable for the organisation. It all followed a meeting with Finance Minister Nicola Willis in February. Orr stepped down with 3 years still left in his second 5-year term as governor.
So, I guess we have to say Orr reported that the money that the government was saying, here's the Reserve Bank budget, was not enough to keep the Reserve Bank going. And so he quit, which then bodes the question, when we look back at what the Reserve Bank has done in 12 months from now, will we see an underwhelming output of information and work because Orr was right and there wasn't enough information? Or will it still tick along as per usual and he was a bit of a drama queen? But real interesting, Chewie, that you think about people like the governor, Don Brash, governor of the Reserve Bank, these kinds of people kind of not chucking their toys for no reason, if I can put it that way.
I mean, to pull your contract that quickly, I think that spoke to an absolutely untenable relationship with the government and specifically with Nicola Willis. And I mean, like, you're a money guy. You deal with the economy. It's all numbers and that sort of thing. And then in comes Nicola Willis with stuff that is not workable. Theory that has been disproven. How do you work with that? And I think it's a point of going, well, I can fucking chew on my desk for 3 years, or I can just get out of here. I don't want to hitch my wagon to this.
Yeah.
So whatever his reasons, I think it's dramatic. And certainly that news, that happened in the space of days. He was talking about going to a presentation or something a couple of days after, a couple of days before he quit. Yeah, that he was going to be at this thing, and then he wasn't. So I don't think this was planned. I don't think this was expected, and I don't think Nicola Willis really cares and just probably saw him as a road bump.
Yeah, perhaps. There are people in the chat talking about he seemed pretty happy to help National lowering OCR and making their numbers look better. But like, even if that was the case, that makes it even stranger. Like, even if he was on, I mean, like, you would hope the governor of the Reserve. I remember interviewing Helen Clark for an election, and it was just after Don Brash had become leader of the National Party, and his previous job was governor of the Reserve Bank. And I said to Helen Clark, what is it like going up against someone who for the past, whatever it was, 3-6 years, you have been talking to about financial issues as the governor of the Reserve Bank? And she actually went, yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. And what I saw in that is that position should be, and probably is most of the time, non-partisan. But then Brash came out and became very partisan. And so I would hope that Adrian Orr just, played a straight bat, and obviously realised playing that straight bat, you're giving me $200 to pay my mortgage, and my mortgage is $300. Ain't going to work. Don't want to borrow of it. Goodbye.
I think it's worth pointing out with Don Brash, apart from the fact that he's an animated skeleton that's fueled on hatred and bigotry, his term as Reserve Bank governor is generally across the board, both sides of the aisle, regarded as one of the best Reserve Bank governors that we have had. It's strange. It's like, man, just go back to your calculator and stop coming up with race theory.
Yeah. Then he ruined his, what do you call it when you leave a lineage? He ruined his reputation, whatever that word's called. Ruined his, like what's his name? The mayor of New York ruined his, I can't think of the word. Oh, did I spark something?
You said the secret word that triggered my new story. You said the word mayor. Did you see that the mayor of Kaipara, the Trump of the North, is not standing for election? Is not standing for the mayoralty again. That's good. That's a pinprick of nice news.
Yeah, there you go.
He still
Nobby
has
Clark
plans.
Has Nobby Clark gone yet?
Oh, Nobby Clark is not standing. That is another one. So we're down two morons. Gypsum up in the north, he still does have plans to stand as a councillor, and one of his missions is to remove all mangroves from Northland in its entirety.
Good luck with that, mate. I grew up in Northland, holidaying up there, and you have about 1,000 mangroves per capita, per unit base, per singular person.
The man, look, he's a very driven person. He hates Māori and he hates mangroves.
But not, maybe he only hates mangroves and he just can't pronounce it properly and he just thinks he hates Māori. Maybe that's what it is, or the other way around. Not to mention, of course, mangroves are an incredibly important ecosystem to the estuaries of Northland. But you know, that whole green thing, tree hugger, that kind of stuff.
A mangrove beat him up as a child, and he will have his revenge.
Maybe he's homophobic and he thinks a mangrove is like some kind of sexual act, and he wants to stamp it out in Northland or something. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, Chewie, should have seen the mangrove I got last night. Poof, I'm tired this morning. Could be. No.
Well, you've ruined that ecosystem for me there, Pat.
Yeah, Chewie, the number of times I've had a mangrove in my ecosystem, bro. If I had $1 for every mangrove in my ecosystem. Well, remember, we're now work husbands aren't we, after last night's show? Isn't that official? Isn't that, I don't know.
It's not that you didn't give me that ring.
I could do the dance.